Britain has now been in a heat wave for nearly 2 months. The heat wave probably began sometime in late May. It's now late July, and I'm in Newport in southeast Wales, and probably for the last 2 months we've only had around maybe 5 or 6 days worth of rain, and when it has rained it's been unbelievably light and patchy. I think we had one sharp thunderstorm about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but other than that there's been hardly any rain in this part of the region, and it's pretty much the same rain the rest of the country. And you've probably kind of seen some images on the TV of fields turning brown and lots of grass fires and whatnot. Here in Newport, southeast Wales, it's not actually looking too bad despite the lack of rain. I mean, today is one of the hottest days of the year. I think it's around 26 or 27 at the present moment, even though the sky is quite cloudy. We are forecast to have some rain. Today is Friday. We are forecast to have some rain on Saturday and Sunday, but even then it's going to be quite isolated and patchy. But seeing lots of the images on the news and stuff, lots and lots of fields are completely brown, all the crops are dying. There's lots of grass fires, either deliberately or accidentally. But this particular field isn't actually looking that bad. I mean, the ground, I can tell you now, is pretty damn dry, but the grass is, I mean, this time last year this grass would have probably been about 2 feet high, so that probably tells you, I think the farmer cuts this grass, I think he cut it in early June, so we're nearly 2 months ahead, and it probably hasn't grown much more than, say, 10 inches. There's a few kind of wildflowers around and stuff, but the grass is actually looking fairly green. It's yellow in places. As you can see, I'm also surrounded by woods, and the trees are looking a little yellow in places, but they're not. They're certainly not dropping all their leaves and about to die. So it's hard to believe that, you know, we had this kind of intense heat and intense dry weather now for around 2 months. I mean, it's so unheard of, especially in you know, certain parts of the UK. Perhaps only on the east side you get prolonged dry weather, but I mean, it's really strange to have 2 months of, you know, very little rain and temperatures always above 20, and you know, and it's just so hot. But this field and the surrounding areas are not actually looking that bad, despite the lack of rain and the constant hot weather. I mean, I'm gonna go take you into the woods now. There's actually a little stream that runs through the woods, which probably this time last year was probably flowing quite well. I mean, this stream actually flows through my street and outside my house, and it's quite a vicious stream at times. So let's have a look at the lack of water. There's a log there that somebody set on fire. I'm surprised it didn't burn the field down, but there we go. So I don't know if you can see that as it's getting dark in here. There's the stream, or what's left of it. I mean, this stream, I walk through these woods quite regularly, and last year that would have been flowing about probably at least 50 litres per minute, and look at it now. It's nothing. It's just a gentle trickle. I mean, it's only a little stream, but it should be flowing probably at least 50 times what it is now. I mean, there's barely anything. There's just a tiny trickle coming down from the hills. And you can see now on the news that all the reservoirs are starting to dry up, and you can see why. So yeah, so normally you wouldn't be able to cross that if it had been an average kind of rainfall. So let's have a look in the woods. I mean, the ground is pretty dry. Looks like somebody's had a fire here. I'm surprised they haven't burned down the whole woods by having fires by there. Looks like lots of yobs have chucked aerosol cans and whatnot on it. drinking Fosters, burning the wood. There's the stream again. Like, you can see all the debris built up here is probably when it does flow. So you can see this stream can be quite vicious when it does rain heavy, and there's virtually nothing in there. And the ground is really dry in here. Again, it's usually quite boggy in here, even in the middle of summer. It's not looking too bad in here. I mean, the ground is really dry, but the trees look okay. They're certainly not about to die. There's lots of new little saplings still growing here. It's hard to believe that in 2 months there's probably only been five or 6 days of rain, and when it has rained, it's just been so light. I mean, the weather's usually quite dry through May and June anyway, but by the time July comes, you get lots of thunderstorms, and there's lots of rain coming in from the west, but there's just nothing. You can probably see here loads and loads of leaves on the ground, and loads of these, I think they're called catkins, or caterpillars as we used to call them as kids. So you can probably see straight away here, it looks like it's autumn. You would think it'd be October, November time, and it's only late July. So that's a sign that the trees are stressed. They drop their leaves when there's a lack of water. And this is quite down in the dip here, next to the stream. So that probably shows you how dry it is in here. The ground here is probably getting a slightly darker colour as we probably go down into the ditch. So there is some moisture around. Probably see how dry it is here, where a tree has fallen over, a dead tree. Not too bad though. So, we're nearly to the end here. I think there's a little ditch here where there's usually water. Yep, this is usually completely and utterly bogged down. As you can see, this is a channel. When it rains heavy, it all flows down here. And this is normally, it is a bit squelchy actually. There is some moisture in the water, but I've been in here this time last year, and that usually has a little trickle of water going down there, so you can see there's a massive difference. So there's no water at all coming down here. God, that's a big tree. I don't know what type of tree that is. It seems to be doing alright. Seems to have most of its leaves. You can probably, I don't know if you can see on the ground, there are lots and lots of dead leaves. Perhaps some of them are from last autumn, but I would imagine a lot of them have dropped in the past month or two because of the lack of water. Yeah, some of the leaves on the ground are definitely fresh, which is, you know, obviously trees do drop their leaves all year round, but not in this kind of rate. I'm nearly there, nearly out to the path that gets out of these woods. Again, this kind of area here is usually a complete bog. You can see there's a shopping trolley in there, and that's usually completely bogged down. I think kids have actually made a den down there by the looks of it, which that tells you how dry it is, because Yeah, you can just about make out the ground. You can see all the ground it's all cracked, which indicates that this is usually a bog that you can't walk on. And you can see here that kids have made a den of some kind, and it's absolutely bone dry. I mean, there's some moisture in the ground here, but it's completely rock hard to walk on. So that shows you how dry it is. I mean, these are quite dense woods. We don't get a lot of sunlight in here, so that's just completely dried up. So, I mean, to recap, I mean, the trees are doing okay, I would say. I mean, they're certainly not... Some of them have lost their leaves, but most of them are pretty good. As you can probably see up there, how dry that path is. I mean, this is a dense woods and the ground is just so dry, even for July. So, yes, I mean, so far, I mean, the 2-month drought, or whatever you want to call it, is having its effect, but there's certainly no sign of trees or grass dying yet around this kind of area, despite the lack of rain. We should now see the stream again. I think you'll probably find there's some water in this part of it as it gets a bit deeper. Yeah, tiny amount of water there, but that should be flowing. That should be that should have quite a heavy flow. So this, look on this end, and you can see how dry it is by here. I can even walk in that. So yeah, I mean, this should be the water levels normally up to this stone here, and there's just nothing here. So hopefully it will rain over the weekend, some decent rain, but I'm not counting on it. So I'm just about out of the woods. Just another look there. You can see the stream again. What's left of it. I mean, that should be at least a foot deep, but there's nothing at the moment. So here we are, back to where the main field. You can see again here how dry the ground is. And I was right over the other end of that field 10 minutes ago or so. So, I mean, it's not looking bad at all actually. I mean, it's quite green. Mostly green, I would say. A bit of yellow, but it's not too bad actually. You can probably just make out some of the trees are going a little bit yellow, but they're certainly not in risk of dying yet, I don't think. Anyway, perhaps we have no more rain for another month and they might start dying, but so far they're doing okay. So anyway, that's my video of the Newport countryside, anyway, or semi-countryside, and how it's dealing with the UK heatwave. Thanks for watching.